Welcome to the show, and with me today is Bob Smith. And Bob is working quite a bit with an area that we don't really want to usually talk about in this world today, and that is human trafficking. Did you know that there are 20,000 slaves, according to the government agencies right here in the United States of America, and that 80% of those are girls, and 80% are sex slaves. Our topic today is a heavy-duty topic, which I think is really important to make you aware of what is happening here today. Bob, welcome to the show.
Glenn, thank you for having me.
So what are some of the misconceptions about human trafficking?
Well, I think that you're right. People don't like to talk about it.
Right.
It's an evil thing. I know when I've talked to people in the past, I lose them in about 4 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, they just, especially the women, because they're caring, and not that guys aren't caring, but the women tend to be that nurturing type, and their eyes glaze over, and they're just like, if I can't do anything about it, this is just ripping me up inside.
Yeah.
And I think it starts with evil, and it goes to the devalue of human life, and then it's just about the money. And there is so much money in it. And I think some of the misconceptions are that this happens in Thailand and India, when in truth it's the number 3 growing crime here in the United States.
Number 3.
There's a lot of money to be made, and I think the TSA had some impact on why it's growing so fast in the United States. I'm not blaming them, but I'm saying that because the borders are now more secure, it's harder to get girls across the border, both in and out. And so the pimps, which we call slaveholders, we don't like to call them pimps because it implies that the girl's a prostitute, but she's being prostituted or enslaved, so we call them slaveholders.
Yeah.
And they basically realize that there's so many girls here in the United States that they can get. Why even look somewhere else?
Yeah.
So it's pretty evil stuff.
Now, what is usually the age range that they're looking for?
The average age of the girls that we have, and I always like to keep it personal because there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I think it hurts the cause when people aren't accurate about the information they're giving out. Yeah. But the average girl that I have recovered is 13 and a half years old.
That is young.
Well, that's the average, then the young, then it's 10 years old, 12 years old, they're looking for girls like that.
Yeah.
And the other misconception is that they're troubled teens. That's not necessarily the case.
Really?
Most of the girls that we have are not troubled. I have police officers' daughters, pastors' daughters, I have CEO daughters. These are our kids. These are our daughters, and they don't care what the economic background is. There's lots of ways that they recruit them. So they just...
How do they get a hold of these girls? Because aren't we teaching them don't talk to strangers, walk away, walk in groups, want to first meet the parents before you're there,
Right.
Because you're like, where does this go wrong?
Yeah, God didn't give me a daughter because I think He knew that I would micromanage her so much, she'd hate me.
She probably would.
Yeah, but the thing is that there's lots of different ways that they recruit them. And it's called, the act of recruiting them is called grooming them. And what they do is they'll have an actual recruiter that goes out and dates 15 to 20 girls, and he'll pretend to be a certain age, and then he'll build trust in that girl, and then he'll take her out on a date, and he'll actually sell her to someone else who is more like the pimp, and then they'll go to a party or whatever, and then the girl will be taken in the back room, raped, beaten, threatened, and they say, hey, you now work for us. And that's why it crosses lines of economic and occupational backgrounds, because if a girl is vulnerable, they don't care, because they can threaten them to a point that they won't say anything. I mean, you're talking about a 13-year-old girl. What's she going to say if the guy's threatening to kill her? He doesn't know. And that's why this is great, because the education part, if girls know, hey, if you get recruited, you need to just go to law enforcement. They will save you. They will pull you out of this. But the girls are so fearful. I had girls that I've interviewed, and they constantly say the same thing. They say, I didn't know where I could go for help. And I was afraid they would hurt my family. I had one girl from Oakland who snuck out of her house for 6 months, prostituted at night, would sneak back in the morning and go to school and have breakfast with mom. And then until mom finally said, what is wrong with you? There's something up. A straight A student, beautiful young lady. We recovered her. She did awesome. She graduated from our program, and she's doing great. She's in college now, so it's a happy ending kind of thing. But man, she said one of the things that she said was, the first night when they beat me and they raped me and they basically threatened my entire family and my brother, part of my brain said, you know what? I'm just shutting that part of my brain off. And so it's that self-survival mechanism that kicks in with these girls that they just shut down part of their life. And that's what we try and turn back on in a healthy way.
Yeah.
You know, but it's really hard to take care of these girls because it's so expensive and the girls have been so tormented, and yet there is some stimulation that happens in that world. So we're trying to stimulate these girls from a moral standpoint, and that's hard to compete with.
That would be almost impossible.
Yeah, you got drugs and partying and, you know, and of course, you know, some of the intimacy or sexual activity, you know, can be enjoyable even though they don't want to do it. So it's a really twisting of the mind. I was speaking to someone off camera about how it's so complicated. People don't realize how twisted these girls are emotionally and mentally. Their brains aren't fully developed and they're being basically tortured and they have no idea what to think about anything.
And they won't open up to the family because they're threatened.
Their biggest issue is trust. They don't trust anybody. And when it comes to open up to family, they're afraid that their family will get hurt. So they're not going to say anything. And then when they come to us, it's just like, it takes them months to really open up and start to trust us.
Yeah, now, how come you are so passionate about this subject? Where did that start?
Well, I used to be a San Diego police officer, and again, worked La Jolla, which is a very high rent district. And we got a call that there was an informant in group, and this group had been groomed into thinking that they were in a modeling agency, and this is just one typical way of doing it. And the girls, and he builds trust. So he meets with the parents, he meets with the girl, they do photo shoots. And then he says one day, well, we have an opportunity to go to Paris for a photo shoot. So once in a lifetime opportunity. Well, what teenager is not going to go nuts about that?
Oh, they would.
Yeah, and then they pressure mom and dad, let me go, let me go, let me go. And so the parents, you know, trust this guy sort of, and he's telling them, oh, there's going to be chaperones, and here's a waiver to sign, and he's doing all the motions that a parent would put at ease. But then they were sold for $20,000 a piece, and they were going to Turkey. And that was before TSA. That was 25 years ago. And so these girls would have been gone forever. TSA didn't exist, so it would have been about 2 hours, and they would have been gone forever.
TSA, you keep talking about, what does TSA
Okay,
stand
TSA
for?
is the new security at the airport.
Okay.
And so they've kind of reduced the ability to smuggle children in and out of the country because they're getting checked more. And so this was before the government agency was developed. So these girls would have got on a plane, and they would have been gone forever.
Now, I've watched the movie Taken. I'm sure you hear that more. But, you know, of course I watched the movie Taken. So, and it said in the movie somewhere that if you don't catch them within the first 36 hours, that's it. But you even say like 2 hours.
No, actually, there's a couple different ways of looking at that. The damage is done because you hate to put a gauge on were they a victim for 2 hours or were they a victim for 2 weeks or were they a victim for 6 months. And the truth is, these girls are raped on a constant basis, and the trauma is unmeasurable. Yeah. We take girls. I would say a girl that's been in the game, they call it the game, for more than a year to 2 years, is really hard to bring back. There's cognitive damage, and we had one girl that was taken right off the street of San Diego, sold to a female pimp in Mexico, and then was recovered by the federales. Then they called the State Department, who called us, went and got the girl, rescued her. But by the time we got to this girl, cognitively, mentally, emotionally, she was destroyed. She was destroyed. They threw her in a closet for 2 weeks because she wouldn't submit. And it just kind of broke her. And so some of the girls, you know, we want to get them as soon as we can because the quicker we get them, the more we can restore them. But it takes a long time. And our program, you cannot treat these girls like troubled teens, not for what they've been through. And so we treat them differently. And our focus is obviously the love of Jesus. That's going to do the most healing. But from a practical standpoint, because we work with Homeland Security and the FBI in giving us girls, we have to work from a secular point of view first and meeting their needs, doing witness protection when they go to court. We have retired police officers that go with them. And it's such a cool deal. I mean, they go to court, they're nervous, they're shaking, and we'll actually, you know, say, look, if he gets out of that chair, you know, we're going to shoot him. Now, we wouldn't. But the girl needs to know that she's safe because they have such big trust issues.
Yeah.
So it's an intense thing, and there's so many facets to the healing of the child. And we work on normalization and socialization because they don't trust anybody. So we constantly are working with them to build trust, and we take them on a lot of outings, and some of the girls have never been to Disneyland. been to a social, like a park.
Wow.
So we take them, and it's just, and then we even go to the point of if a girl doesn't have a family, because
I'm going to stop here for just
Okay.
a moment because we need a quick break.
Sure.
But I want to find out a little bit more what you do next and what happens when those girls actually get recovered by the government. What's going to happen. But before we do that, we will be right back. I'm just so excited to be able to share with you that God has a plan for you. He wants you to love your life and to live it abundantly. And that's what my passion is for you. I want you to love your life, to enjoy your life, and to see the benefits that God has for you in mind. He doesn't just want to leave you where you're at, but He wants to make a difference. And that is what Love Your Life Ministries is all about, to help you grow and draw closer to God. For you to have a great life that totally focuses on what God wants for you. And guess what happens when you do? Your life will change. Not for the worst, but for the better. It is going to be a blast. Welcome back to the show, and with me is Barb Smith, who rescues girls from human trafficking. And there's a lot of things we don't want to know about it, but I think this is very good for you to learn, the viewer, about the importance is what you can do, what I can do, what Bob does to make a difference. Now, Bob, when the girls come out, then what? Where do they put them? I do a lot of volunteer work in juvenile hall.
Right.
Would they put them in there, or what do you do in them?
Sadly,
and if they do, that would be terrible.
it is. It's really, we are so far behind the game of understanding the dynamics of this and treating them like a victim, like they should be. In the country, depending on how you come up with a number, which I'm very careful to base my numbers on the FBI recovery rate, which is one aspect, one agency. And so, if there's 5,000 girls being trafficked in the United States, that would be appalling. But we know it's in the 50 to 60,000 plus range. We don't even know. There's no way to really, but when I meet with different departments, they say, oh yeah, we got 200 girls underage on the street, right here, right now. And so when the Homeland Security or FBI or law enforcement or social services rescues a girl, or maybe sometimes we go out and rescue a girl, we'll bring them in and we'll make them disappear. In fact, a funny story was there was an FBI agent who wanted to give me a girl that he had known of. And he said, I'm so frustrated because I went to the social worker and I said, hey, where's this girl? I want to give this girl to Bob's program. And she says, she's gone. And so the FBI was bummed. And I said, well, what was the name? And it ended up that I had the girl already. Oh. And so the law enforcement was very good about keeping our location secret. These girls will be killed by the pimps if they found out. But they need to be taken out. And what happens is they put these girls in juvenile hall, and they're not suspects. They shouldn't be part of being arrested. Yeah. And so we're trying to change that mentality.
Good. Good.
In law enforcement and the judges, and it's slowly happening. And the trafficking laws are changing. They're getting better for the traffickers, but they absolutely stink.
Wait a minute. They get better for the traffickers?
Well, meaning the sentences are getting stiffer.
What are some of the sentences they get?
Well, they used to get pretty much nothing. Okay, but now with the new laws in place, a trafficker can get 20 years per incident.
I would give them life.
Well, really, they're murdering the girls from within, so I agree with you 100%. And you obviously don't want me to take care of them because I'd be in prison, Yeah. So, but here's where the big gap is, and this is where I'm on a Congressman Ed Royce's task force, and we're trying to change the laws to make better laws for the Johns. Do you know what a John is?
No.
A John is the person that goes out and solicits the sex from the child. So that's the person that, the guy's got a family, it could be anybody that solicits. And the thing is, right now, if you get arrested for soliciting prostitution, you'll go to court, you might get probation, you might get a fine, but you're not going to do time. Okay?
And so, wait a minute. Yeah. Did I just hear you right?
Yeah, you did.
Because that's the first one in the game here. That's right. The one that actually moves the girl, and no time, no fine, nothing.
It's the supply and demand. And if you don't stop the supply and demand, if you don't prosecute the people that are soliciting, then there's no demand, and then the pimps won't recruit the girls. But as long as there's a demand, the girls are going to get recruited by the pimps, so that the Johns, the people that are soliciting the girls, you know, give them money. And so if I were to have sex with a 14-year-old, I would do 15 years. But if she's on the street corner and I give her $50 and I pay her for sex, I get nothing. I get probation. And this is the laws that we're trying to change, because they're not, I mean, I really believe that we could reduce this crime by 60 or 70% if we would change the laws, go to public humiliation. I mean, some of these families of these guys that solicit these girls never hear that they were arrested. Well, what would happen if they thought, like, for instance, I always say when I'm speaking to people, how many of us will go 5 over the speed limit?
Yeah, all of us,
All
really,
of us,
to be honest, guilty.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, but would you go 50?
No.
And why is that? Because you don't want the penalties. You know you're going to get caught.
Danger. Yeah, yeah. No.
It's the same thing in parenting. It's the same thing in human trafficking. If you say to the Johns, you do this and you will be publicly humiliated. You'll be put up on a billboard that says, I paid to rape a child. Or you get a fine of $10,000. Or you do time. They're going to say, you know what, it's not worth it. I'm not going to do that. So this is the problem. We have to fix this.
Now, you have a program that you're doing which is called F.A.C.E.S.S, F-A-C-E-S-S.
Right, correct.
And you do quite a bit with those girls. Why don't we take a look at that right now?
I was really scared. Like, I really was scared to come here.
My mom and my dad looked for schools, and they found this one.
And he said, we found you a place where you can be safe.
I thought it was going to be like a group home or like a juvenile, and like we weren't going to be able to do anything. We were just going to, like, we were here for punishment, and like I thought it was way different. Like, I thought the girls were going to be mean, and I just, like, I didn't like it before. Like, I did not want to come at all. And then, like, once I got here and I started to get to know everybody, like, I love being here because, like, I'm being able to interact with, like, people, and, like, people have been through the same thing I've been through, so it's easier to talk to them about stuff. I like that nobody knows where I'm at, and that I can just, like, focus on myself and work on myself.
This is a great place. They offer a lot of things.
I never would have got out of the situation I was in if I hadn't come here.
When I got on campus, the dorms were so much different than what I thought. Like, I thought we were going to have to use, like, porta potties and, like, all this different stuff, but
While I'm here, they have workbooks and things for you to do to kind of look at areas of yourself and things. I'm working on forgiveness right now, which was big, and I've wanted to work on that from the start, so that'll be really good. I want to go to college and have a life. Since I don't know when I'm leaving, I have to keep working on it, because that's the basis for me being able to go home, is like the maturity that I show while I'm here, and accountability that I've built, and how I relate to other people, my improvements with my family, and just showing that I'm really ready to be at home. I'm really, really ahead in school, so I'll be a high school graduate by the time my school class starts their senior year, which is so exciting. You have no idea. It's really cool. So I can go home and start college, which I wasn't going to do before, but I have a community college picked out, and I'm going to do that and then transfer to a UC. So I'm excited for that, my dream school. I have a lot of hope, yeah. Something I didn't have before, and I've got it while being here, so that's a really good thing.
F.A.C.E.S.S needs your support to help care for these precious young ones who have had their innocence stolen. To learn more about F.A.C.E.S.S, visit them at faces.org. F.A.C.E.S.S, returning freedom and restoring enslaved hearts.
Welcome back to the show, and with me is Bob Smith with the organization F.A.C.E.S.S, and you just saw the clips about the girls. how they've been damaged, how they've been hurt, and about this special place for them that they can learn to trust and to love. Bob, tell me a little bit, what is this place? You get the girls, you get them out, and then what?
We try and get them out as fast as possible. Law enforcement will call us up and say, okay, we have a child that we've rescued. How fast can you get her? So we go and we get her as soon as we can, and we take her out. Because people don't understand that there's such a complicated system and hierarchy in the pimp organization. They have what they call bottom girls. They have enforcers. It's like a business. It's a very structured business. But they intimidate the girls so much that if they just go to juvenile hall or a shelter or a foster home, the girls are required to leave. And if they don't leave, the pimp is going to hold them accountable by beating them, burning them with cigarettes, throwing them in a closet, basically torture. And so what we do is we take the girls and they're gone. And so when the pimp goes to research where the girl is, they think that she went to some sort of juvenile youth authority kind of place. She's just gone. She's missed. She's not in juvenile hall. She's not in a local shelter, and that's where the pimps usually find them. So with us, we take them up to our facility that's just, hidden location. We don't talk about the location, and the girl completely disappears. Then the girl feels safe, and so the average girl will leave a facility 11 times. Okay. So 11 times. So the girls don't stay put, and that's because of the fear of the retaliation from the pimp. At our facility, they don't leave because they're convinced no one's going to find them. They're safe, and we educate them and counsel them on how they're safe. But yet, even then, it takes a long time. I mean, one girl I rescued, she said she got recruited when she was 8 years old.
8 years.
Yeah, 8 years old. It's really sad. But the good news is this girl's awesome, and she's with an adopted family now, because we actually work with even adopting them out if we need to. We do everything the girl needs, from college.
So the girl had no family, no nothing?
Well, the family was part of the problem.
Okay.
So yeah, and that can happen sometimes. So all these things just are so complicated that we have to make sure that the girl feels safe. And one of the comments she said to me was, "I'd never met a man before me that touched her and didn't want sex."
Wow.
And so she didn't, it was 4 months before this girl even talked to me.
That's just
devastating. It's
devastating.
awful. It's evil. And finally this girl stuck her tongue out at me one time, 4 months after she had been in our program. 4 months it took. And I was like, yeah, she stuck her tongue. That's a connection, And to this day, she's just an amazing kid. We have an amazing relationship. She made a decision for Christ, just going to discipleship school. I mean, went on one missions trip, wants to go on another one. On fire for God. Just an amazing, amazing story.
Yeah.
So the good news is these girls can be redirected and given a new life. I mean, given their childhood back that was stolen from them.
Now, you're talking about girls that have been raped, hungered, starved, put in boxes, and on and on and on. What is it that they don't try to run away from that? What keeps them going back?
It's the fear. It's really the intimidation and fear of the pimps. They even have testers that will go out and pretend to be law enforcement or a program like mine and say, "I'm here to rescue you." And the girl's like, "Sweet, get me out of here." But then he worked for the pimp, so the pimp beats the girl and says, "Don't you ever do that again or I'll kill you." So then what's the girl going to do? She doesn't trust anybody. No. So when somebody comes to rescue, so these guys are very smart. I mean, they make $300,000 tax-free per girl per year.
Oh my goodness.
There's a lot of money to be made, and there's very little prosecution. The prosecution is probably just dismal because law enforcement doesn't have the resources and the tools to follow through. With our girls, because of the program and being all encompassed, we coach the girls on how to testify. We protect them so they feel safe. So when they get on the stand, this guy's 15 feet away from the suspect. I mean, the suspect's 15 feet away from a 14-year-old girl, giving her looks, threatening her. She's not going to tell the truth. No, but with us, she does because we're there. And we've had 100% prosecution success.
100%.
100. Yeah.
That's huge.
It's big. And it's because the girls feel safe and they know that they're not going to be hurt after testifying. Yeah. And these guys are doing anywhere from 10 years to 200 years.
Now, a real quick question, because we're getting towards the end of our show, but what are some tips for all these moms and dads out there that want to protect their girls?
Absolutely.
Can you give me some quick tips?
Basically, family structure is huge. If you've got to know where your child is, you've got to be intrusive in the sense that your kid may be annoyed with it, but you have to get into their life and you have to know what they're doing. Don't go somewhere alone. They're recruiting out of malls, so don't let your child go to a mall alone. Go in groups. If your child is a kind of a loner or whatever, get them involved in some sort of group activity at church or at school. Don't let them go on the internet at all. Now I'm a little radical there, because the internet is such a dangerous place for kids. And if there's what they call keylogger programs where you can put it on your computer and track where your child is going. Parents go, oh no, that's an invasion of their privacy. You're saving their life. You're their parent. Act like it. Be a parent. Parent your child. Keep them safe. Because these guys, I had one guy that was emailing this girl for over a year, telling her, don't run away. That's the wrong thing to do. Let's handle this right. But he was just grooming her until she trusted him, and then she left. She got caught up in it.
Wow.
So
wow.
they have to pay
patient. It's
yeah.
their business.
It's a lot of money.
Wow.
So parents, be patient, with your child, but also get involved.
Get very involved. That's some very good advice. Now, if people want to find more information about how to get a hold of you or what to do, where is it that they can go?
Well, the simplest thing is just to go to the website, FACES.org,
Okay.
and from there they can get emails and phone numbers.
Yeah.
But we are discreet, so some people will go to the website and go, well, what is this? And it's hard when you say, hey, let's donate. Donate to who and where? Okay. Because we're so secretive.
You have to be.
Yeah.
You have to
but
be, yeah.
they can get involved that way, and obviously it's very expensive to take care of these girls, so whatever they can do to help, we have volunteers come up. They love, now we have to do background checks on them, but if people can come up and invest in the girls, they love that. Just that human contact.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
So, Bob, thank you so much.
You're
I want to
welcome.
give you my book. I'll actually give you 10 of my books to share with the girls if you want to.
That'd be awesome.
Juvenile Hall loves it, so I think they might like it as
they'll
well.
love it, yeah.
Loving yourself from
Thank
the
you.
inside out. I'm not able to speak at their level, but I think it's amazing what you're doing with those girls.
Thanks.
And the passion that God has given you
It's blessed.
to turn their world around. One quick word of advice, what would it be?
For the parents or for the girls?
I would say for both.
For what?
Do it for both.
Oh, for both? I think if for the kids, if you get involved and you somehow get recruited at high school or some sort of group setting, just remember that there are people out there that will help you. Go to a teacher, go to a counselor. Don't be afraid, because even though they intimidate you and they're threatening you, law enforcement will step up and help you. If you're a parent, get involved in your child's life.
Wow. Yeah, Bob. It's been an honor to have
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Wow, I think you were as blown away as I just was. And human trafficking is a real problem. As you heard the statistics that were so much bigger as what the government is thinking it could be right now. We're talking 50, 60,000 right here in the United States. It's time to step up. It's time to make a difference. I would love for you to get involved, to see what Bob's doing. Go to F.A.C.E.S.S, F-A-C-E-S-S. And now for you that needs prayer, or that wants to connect with us, we would love to talk to you. Go to our toll-free number, 855-836-1100, or go to barbtv.org. God loves those girls. God loves you, and God wants to make a difference. And I would love for you to be part of that. Have a great day. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.